All right, welcome into What's the Spread? It's a week 3 edition. A little bit of a late start this year, but Mr. Brad Thomas, Miles on Sports with you. Man, what a season. And I'm telling you, Brad, going into this season, this college football season, I was more excited than any other, and it's lived up to the hype so far.
Yeah, you have two reasons to be excited. I think the 12-team playoff, I was kind of hesitant about it because I was like, man, we're just getting a bunch of blowouts. It has made this shit so exciting, right? Like teams you don't even think about have a chance to make the playoffs. And then you get Ohio State, who looks the part. Unlike Oregon, Ohio State has been living up to the expectations. We'll see when they get into the thick of conference play, but it's good. It's a good time for you, good time for college football fans.
So much fun to be reading articles in September and have a breakdown of about 35, 36 teams that are technically still in the playoff race.
Yeah.
I mean, usually we're down to what? Maybe 6 or 7 by now, 2 weeks into the
Yep.
season, right? So it's going to make betting more fun, but it's also just going to make the season feel longer. I feel like that November is just going to feel more special.
Yeah, like what's funny is Notre Dame losing to Northern Illinois, and people are still saying Notre Dame has a chance to make it into the playoffs. Like that would never have happened in the 14 playoff.
Never, but still a chance. Even with
Yeah.
one loss, you're okay.
Oh yeah.
All right, man. Well, I will say before the season started, I did circle this Saturday as probably the least action that we're going to have all
Yep.
season. So we get here, and that's what we're looking at. But as I was telling a buddy at work today, even the worst day of college football is still one of the best days of the year. So let's get into the games that you and I are going to talk about here. Another really good one with big noon kickoff. Oh, it was so sweet to see Texas roll into Ann Arbor last weekend and absolutely destroy the defending national champion Wolverines. A little bit of a different story this weekend. We've got number 4 Alabama on the road at Wisconsin. Of course, I'm going to let you start here, my man. But first, just kind of tell me what you've seen from Alabama so far this year and maybe what concerns you might have coming into this game.
Yeah, so Alabama's been pretty interesting because in 2 different games we've had 2 different offensive lines. I'll say concerns first. Uh not the fact how they played against South Florida concerns me. The fact that they felt they had such little depth that they had to rework their entire offensive line. I get it. Like you want people to be healthy and you don't think you need your full complement of tackles and guards, but it was really concerning. I was really excited about the running game. It's been a long time since we've had a good running game. And what I mean by that, like, we haven't seen a ton of push right away, but we have guys who are breaking big runs. Justice Miller, and Justice Haynes and Jam Miller. Ryan Williams is really exciting, but what's not getting talked about is the defense. The Swarm D is interesting. I didn't really I didn't pay that much attention to South Alabama, but the fluidity of the defense, allowing I thought this was pretty cool where you can just have your D linemen line up in any position, linebackers line up in any position, which gives them the freedom to get in the backfield kind of from anywhere. And you can run stunts and different schemes off that, which was pretty impressive. We'll see how they do against Wisconsin, but I'm pretty low on the Badgers, man. They can't run the ball. Offensive line isn't great, and Tyler Van Dyke is a walking turnover. I think how Alabama fares in this game is really going to depend on what they want to do, how much they want to put on tape for Georgia. Even against South Florida. Remember when I was talking to you in the offseason, I was really excited to see a little bit more creative of an offense. Against South Florida, they ran jet motion once, orbit motion once. It was pretty vanilla. And that makes sense, right? Like, why would you put all your good stuff on tape against South Florida? Why would you put all your good stuff on tape against Wisconsin? I took Alabama at minus 14.5 over on ESPN bet, which I think is probably a sure bet. There's a lot of trends that talk about Wisconsin, how Wisconsin haven't not covered as a double-digit underdog at home since the 70s. But this is a different Wisconsin era. Wisconsin's always had those bell cow backs where they can just bruise you to death. But after they lost Braylon Allen, they didn't have a replacement, right? And Tyler Van Dyke, solid, serviceable quarterback, but I think he's going to see more of a success against those bottom tier Big Ten teams.
It's a different Wisconsin program. There's no doubt about that. I feel like Luke Fickell's still trying to find that footing. We really haven't learned much in the first 2 games. I've seen exactly what I thought we were going to see out of Tyler Van Dyke, just not being effective. I still think it was an absolute mistake for Fickell to try to come in and change the offense.
Yep.
I think eventually they're going to have to get back to their identity and who they are. They got the rushing game going last week with their 2 lead backs, combined for 170 yards, 2 touchdowns. Fickle's just going to try to keep away in this game, Brad. He knows that they don't have a chance to win this game. I really don't. You mentioned double-digit underdogs. Even Ohio State, the 2 or 3 times that they've gone into Madison in the past, they've only been single-digit favorites. Now, that's when Wisconsin was at the height of their program. This is still a really tough crowd, man.
Yep.
And it's the first time Bama's gone on the road north of the Mason-Dixon since 2011 when they went into Happy Valley and beat Penn State. Ironically, another Big Ten team. But I actually just bet this one today. I got 16.5 points. I'm taking Wisconsin here. Because of what you said, I don't think Bama's going to try and come in here and do anything fancy.
No.
I don't think they're looking for the blowout. I think it could easily turn into a 38-3 game. As I said, I don't think Wisconsin has any chance in hell to win this game. But with the SEC schedule coming up, I think Alabama's going to be able to do what they want, how they want to do it. And I don't think it's going to have to, they're not going to have to blow the doors off Wisconsin. And I think the crowd is still going to be a factor early in the game. We've seen this Alabama team make mistakes in the past. I think we'll see some penalties in the first half. It's a tough crowd, Brad. I'm telling you, man, I never feel good when Ohio State has to go play them. I mean, even last year, we went in there. We blew the doors off them in a night game last year, but still nervous. It's a great crowd, and they're going to bring it.
Yeah, they're going to bring it. They're going red and white, alternating sections. One section red, one section white. I think they're saying Alabama fans have to wear black. It's kind of going to be an interesting crowd. We haven't seen a crowd like that, and not saying like we haven't seen a massive crowd. It's just a different kind of crowd.
And Jalen Milroe, good start to his Heisman campaign that no one's talking about. 9 total touchdowns in 2 games. I didn't think I would say this a couple years ago, Brad, but he's turning into my favorite Bama quarterback to watch. I just tune in to watch him play. He's a fun guy to see.
And his deep ball's so accurate. It's so pretty. And what's funny is people just remember him from his first 2 starts, right? Like you can't judge somebody off their first 2 starts. His Heisman campaign, he'd probably be down in like the plus 600s if he didn't have that 70-yard touchdown run called back because of a holding.
All right, let's go ahead and move into our second game. Only the second top 25 matchup that we have this weekend. One is on Friday. This one is on Saturday. We got the number 24 Boston College Fighting Bill O'Briens going into SEC territory here to face number 6 Missouri. Missouri, I feel like another team that we really haven't been able to see much from. And then we've seen Boston College beat what turned out not to be a very good Florida State team, but still pretty impressive what they did going into Doak Campbell and beating Florida State. So absolutely, they deserve that 24 ranking. The spread is still really high here. Missouri minus 16.5. I'll just go ahead and tell you, I feel like I'm by myself on this one. I am all over Missouri here, minus 16.5. I think I try to think to myself in these situations, what would this spread have been if Boston College didn't look the way they did against FSU, which I understand that has to be a part of it. But this would have been a 25, 26, 27-point spread if it was the Boston College team that we expected. Now, they got a great quarterback. I expect them to keep it close. But, man, Brady Cook, we knew he was good, but he was showing off the wheels last week.
Yep.
This offense has an ability to put up 50 at any point. And if this turns into a back-and-forth game, Boston College won't be able to keep up. I like the home crowd. I like the 16.5 instead of the 17. I like Missouri here.
I like Missouri as well. Bill O'Brien's going to have this team prepared mentally and physically. But I just think this line also like underestimates Missouri. Drinkwitz finally has the players that he wants for his system. Like just think about the receiver core, right? Like the receiver core, Theo Weiss, Luther Burden Jr., Mookie Cooper, like, and they're so deep. Brady Cook has just, it makes, when you have a good quarterback like Brady Cook, sometimes he just has like 1 or 2 guys, right? Like they're 5 deep, which makes life so much easier. They bring in Marcus Carroll at running back, which was pretty solid. But what's underrated or underestimated is this defense of Missouri. Missouri has a really, really good defense. They have speed. They're good tacklers, which is important for this game against Boston College. We're going to run a ton out of the ball. Bill O'Brien's established. Bill O'Brien said, I want to establish the run, and that's what we're going to do. Castellanos, good quarterback. Massive win against Florida State, but I actually think it's more of Florida State being that bad than Boston College being that good. And I think Boston College might get embarrassed. Missouri pitched 2 shutouts. I don't care who you're playing. That's pretty impressive to start your season.
I think we'll see a big game out of Luther Burden here. They took him out last week for a quote unquote illness. I just think it's load management. I think he's set up for 10 catches, 150 and a score here. Big game for the Missouri offense. And as you said, Drinkwitz has, and we've seen this in the recruiting, Brad, quietly built a stout SEC style.
Yes, stout.
And that's really been the difference for them in this program. Now, I think it's time for them to go out and prove it. We didn't think this was going to be a top 25 matchup going in, but you've got the number 24 ranked team coming in. It's a team from the ACC. A lot of hype behind this Missouri program. You got to come in and show it. Hopefully we see that.
Yep. Let's go to the next game.
All right, next game, we got the Friday Night Lights. We've got number 20 Arizona and number 14 Kansas State. I do love my Friday night games. This is the game I am most excited to watch. I think it's going to be one of many really exciting games in the Big 12 as we see this insane Big 12 race unfold, where you've probably got about 6 or 7 teams that can win the conference right now. But we got Kansas State. This line really hasn't moved much, Brad. I've been paying attention to it throughout the week. It's at 7 right now. I've seen it go to 7.5. Who do you like in this one?
I actually lean if I get 7.5, lean the 7.5 with Arizona here. I just think this team, they lost so much in the portal, but they this is gonna sound so freaking cheesy. They lost so much in the portal, but I think they gained a ton of heart, right? They embraced what they do well. The guys who stayed really like thinking about McMillan, Fafita, they really are down for this program. And also Kansas State, like Miles, I was wrong. I was one who said that Will Howard got ran out of Kansas State. I actually changed my tune. Avery Johnson can't throw the ball worth a damn. Great wheels, maybe a high ceiling, but this team misses Will Howard. The secondary for Kansas State, not good either, which I think Fafita and McMillan will feast on, which means Arizona keeps it close. When Kansas State played Tulane, they couldn't get off the field on 3rd and 4th down either. Yeah, that's not a success. That's not a recipe for success when it comes to covering more than touchdown spread. So I like Arizona plus the 7.5.
Yeah, I'm with Arizona as well, whether it's 7 or 7.5. I think Arizona has a really good chance to win this game. I think it's one of those Friday night games where it's that 7-point spread, but you don't know what's going to happen. I think Arizona's got a really good chance to win. So I'll take them to cover the points. As you said, I like Fafita, McMillan. And it doesn't matter what Kansas State did against Tulane last week. I would have been the same. I don't care if K-State wins that game by 30. I don't think we've really gotten a chance to see what Arizona has. Kansas State's got a really good running game, but can Avery Johnson throw the football? That's a great question. We know Arizona can, and we know that's going to be the game plan coming in. They're going to be a high-flying. They scored 61 points against New Mexico 2 weeks ago. Yeah. McMillan just had an insane stat line in that game. He was quiet last week, but I think that they were waiting for this one. So we're in agreement on this one. All right, let's go into our final game. We've got a classic rivalry coming back. Usually we see this at the end of the year. But now we're going to have this game in September. It is Oregon and Oregon State. Oregon is 17-point favorites right now. I've seen 16.5. Let's start with this, though, Brad. Let's start with Oregon, who is a clear national championship contender coming into the season. Thoughts on Oregon so far?
Oregon is the epitome of the success or the failure of the transfer portal. And let me make this clear when I say this. The transfer portal is amazing, but not every year are you going to be heavy in the portal and it's going to work out. And I think with Oregon, they might be feeling that a little bit, right? Chemistry is one of those issues, one of those placement, like if there's someone's an as adequate replacement to who you had, team fit. A lot of those question marks, I feel like Oregon are going through it right now. Oregon are not really particularly running the ball well. They're not throwing the ball downfield. We talked about Bo Nix and not throwing the ball downfield. But bro, we know this as UCF guys. I thought DG wasn't me coming in here, Dylan Gabriel, and spinning the rock, bro. Yeah, he's throwing it a touch, but these little dink and dunk passes, and then their defensive line getting freaking pushed around by Boise State. Listen, I think Oregon at some point in the season will figure it out, right? Maybe it's this game, but I realistically cannot back Oregon to cover a 17-point spread in Corvallis. in this rivalry, the home team has won the last 4 games. The Beavers are going to run the ball. They're going to stick to their identity. I don't care they lost their coaching staff. I don't care that they lost their running back. Jam Griffin's good enough. I don't care that they lost their quarterback. I don't care that they lost Silas Bolden, because they're not throwing the ball, dude. They're going to run the ball as much as they can and just slow the game down and try to steal a win. I think that you have to take the points here. And if God forbid Oregon blow them out, they put it all together, you can live with that because there's so many things that have to happen. Oregon haven't been good on so many levels, so many aspects of the field where you'd be comfortable betting Oregon as a double-digit favorite, a 2-touchdown favorite and more in Corvallis.
Agree on your points here with Oregon as a team. The Oregon-Boise State game was actually my favorite game last weekend. I remember I was texting you about that earlier. It was the nightcap on Peacock. Just an absolutely wild game. They had special teams touchdowns. They couldn't stop Ashton Jeanty, who is just an absolute beast for Boise State. But they found a way to get the win. And even though I don't have Oregon as a playoff team now, because I just don't see it with the way the Big Ten is shaping up, I'll still take them to cover the spread here against Oregon State. Now, there's going to be a lot of emotions in this game, man. A lot of emotions. I mean, holy hell. Oregon State, obviously, all the drama that happened with them. Yep. It seems like we may be, as of this morning, maybe getting a new Pac-12. I don't know. They're up to 6. They're up to 6. So let's just keep that counter going and see if they can get up to a real conference. But yeah, I mean, I just don't know what I have in Oregon State. I at least see the problems that Oregon's trying to fix, and I also see what they're doing right. I think it's only a matter of time before Gabriel has a big game. So I'll take them to win this in a 42-17 style game. But excited for this one, and be very interesting to see how it shapes out for Oregon. Now, you and I were talking before the show, and you and I both have Oregon out of our playoff bracket, which I never thought I would say 2 weeks ago. But let's do this. At the end of each show, I want to see what our ranking is for 1 through 12 after that week of games that we've seen in this new style of the 12-team playoff. So, Brad, go ahead and give it to me. What do you have 1 through 12?
Yeah. First overall, number 1, Georgia. Number 2, Ohio State. Number 3, I have these flipped actually. Number 3, I have Miami. Number 4, I have UCF. Number 5, I have Texas. You're about to hear some craziness. Sorry, Miles. Number 6, I have Alabama. Number 7, I have Ole Miss. Number 9, I have Penn State. Wait, number 8, I have Penn State. Number 9, Missouri. Number 10, Tennessee. Number 11, USC. And number 12, South Florida as the American champions.
I like it. I've actually got a preseason bet on USF to win the American.
Same.
So I liked them coming in. So good pick. So very similar here, although I will surprise you a little bit with the top. I'm going to have Ohio State number 1. And most of that's just because Georgia's schedule is just absolutely brutal. So, yeah. But I do think Georgia wins the SEC number 2. I had Miami winning the conference before the season, but I was thinking about it today, and I think Clemson figures it out in the ACC. They've got more experience. They've been there before. I do like Miami. They're still in my playoff, but I got Clemson to win that conference right now after a really impressive performance last week. And then until they prove me wrong, I've still got Utah at number 4. Now, with Cam Rising, I think Utah was clearly the best team in that conference. Now it looks a little bit rough, but from what I saw last week in that Utah-Baylor game, which was technically a non-conference game, I think top to bottom, Utah is the deepest team in the conference.
100%.
If not Utah, I do think that UCF could absolutely be there in the end. I would have said Oklahoma State until that insane game last week, which I don't even know what to think of. Yep. And then we'll see what happens with Kansas State. But for now, I'm going to keep Utah in that 4 spot. And then from there, I've got 5, Texas. I've got Texas losing to Georgia in the SEC title game. 6, I've got USC. I've got USC losing to Ohio State in the Big Ten championship. Nice. Really like what I've seen out of USC so far, Brad. I think Miller Moss is absolutely the real deal. I think the defense is actually tackling now.
Yes.
Obviously, an elite head coach. Love USC right now. So I've got them at number 6. I've got Bama at 7, Tennessee at 8, Ole Miss at 9. Still got Penn State in there at 10. but hold on that. And then I've got Miami at 11, so I still have Miami making the field. And then at 12, why not? I've got Northern Illinois out of the MAC at 12. I know it's going to be an uphill battle. They're obviously going to have to go undefeated.
Yep.
And even then, they're probably going to need some help. But, man, I would love to see a MAC team make the playoff in the first 12-team format. So, big win for that program last weekend at Notre Dame.
Big win. Man, so we interviewed the coach for Citrus Sports, and man, dude wears his heart on his sleeve. It was pretty sick. That'll do it, Miles. Feels like it's been forever since we've done a show together. But this was fun. As always, anybody listening, make sure you rate, subscribe, smash the like button, and tell us your favorite plays. You can find us on X at What's the Spread _ I'm Brad Thomas at Mr. Brad Thomas, and that's Miles Markiewicz at Miles on Sports. Thank you to our producer, Straight. Take care, everyone.